Hi Year 3, welcome to your maths video for Thursday the 25th of February. And this is a video for you if you've got the Year 3 maths booklet. And before we get going with our lesson today, I just want to say a big well done to Shade and Joe and CJ. Your maths work has just been fantastic, both of you. So well done, we're very proud of you, keep up the amazing work. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at pages 26 and 27 in our maths booklet, where we're going to be solving calculation problems. We've got lots of word problems based on multiplication and division that we're going to be solving today. But before we get on to that, let's have a go at warming ourselves up ready for our learning today. So I have for you another star number challenge, and I know we are amazing at star number challenges. And I've added a couple more steps this time because I think they're a bit too easy before. So my star number, you've got to imagine I've got a number behind this star, okay? So I started with a number, I divided it by 5, I then added 20 to the number, then I subtracted 6, and I got the answer 23. So what number did I begin with? Now remember, when we've got these star number problems, we need to work backwards and we need to use the inverse operations. So if we start with the answer 23, we're going to work backwards. So the last thing I did was subtract 6, but we need to use the inverse. So what is the inverse operation, the opposite operation to subtraction? If you said addition, well done Year 3. So instead of subtracting 6 from the answer, you need to add it back on, okay? Then keep that number in your head and go to the next step. Make sure you're doing the inverse operations and you will be able to find out my star number. I can't wait to see who can find it. Right, so hopefully you've just completed my warm-up challenge and found my star number for today. So let's have a look at our learning question. So we're going to be using our knowledge of our times tables, which we've already been doing this week, and then we're going to use our written methods of multiplication and division to solve word problems, okay? Now we know for word problems, we use rucksack in school sometimes, where we read the question carefully, take our time to understand and underline any key numbers or important words that can tell us the operation we're doing. We choose the operation, we can solve and answer our question, and then most importantly, we check our answer at the end to check it's reasonable and it makes sense, okay? Now, for our written methods, we've recently learned short multiplication and short division, and we'll be using them today. So short multiplication we use when we're multiplying large numbers, and short division we use when we're dividing a large number. And for both of them, we just can't work it out in our head, so we need to break the calculation down. So if you go and grab your whiteboard and whiteboard pen now, we're going to have a quick recap of short multiplication and short division. Okay, so let's start off with short multiplication. So I've already got my ruler lines drawn ready, so you might want to start writing this in short multiplication. So we're going to do 65 and we are multiplying it by 5 ones. So I have put my 5 ones under the ones column. And we're going to start by multiplying the ones. 5 times 5. I know lots of you will be shouting 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to leave my 5 ones there and carry and exchange my 2 tens underneath because I need to add them on in a minute. So I've multiplied the ones. I'm now going to multiply the tens. 5 times 6. Well, if we know 5 times 5 is 25, then 5 times 6 is 30, okay? That's the next multiple of 5. Now I've got the answer 30, so it'll be 30 tens, which is 300, but I've got these 2 to add on. So 30 add 2, 31, 32. So I'm going to cross them 2 off. I'm going to leave the 2 tens there and carry the hundreds, because it's 32 tens, that's 320. I'm going to carry the hundreds under there. I've got no hundreds to multiply, so we're just going to add these hundreds on. 325. I wonder if you managed to get the same answer as me. Now on your pages today, you'll notice that for maybe 1 or 2 of your questions, you will have to do a 3-digit multiplication, so 3-digit multiplied by a 1-digit. Now don't be worried about this because we're just going to follow the same steps we normally would for a short multiplication. And you can see I've added a 3rd step because we're going to multiply the ones first, then multiply the tens, and finally we'll be multiplying the hundreds, okay? So you might want to wipe your whiteboard clean. Let's write this down together. So we've got 153 first, and we're going to be multiplying it by 4 ones. So line it up under the ones column like we normally would. We're going to start by multiplying the ones. 4 times 3, okay? So if we're counting our 4s or counting our 3s, I'm going to count in my 4s. Are you ready to count with me? 4, 8, 12. That's 3 lots of 4, okay? Or 4 lots of 3, 12. So I'm going to put my 2 ones there and carry the 10 under the tens column. I've multiplied the ones, so we're going to multiply the tens. 4 times 5. I know lots of you will be shouting 20 at me, okay? Now, that's 20 tens, which we know is 200, but we've got this 1 to add on. So 20 add 1, or 20 add 1 is 21. So I'm going to cross that off. I'm going to leave the 110 there and carry the 2 underneath because that's worth 200 because it's 21 tens, which is 210. Right, we've multiplied the tens. So this last step for us to do, the new step, is to multiply the hundreds as well, okay? I've got 4 multiplied by 1. Well, I know that 1 times 4 is 4 because I only want 1 lot of 4. So I'm going to add those 200s in as well. So 4, add 2, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to give me 600. So don't panic if you spot a 3-digit number multiplied by a 4-digit number in some of your problems today. Multiply the ones, multiply the tens, then multiply the hundreds. So you might want to wipe your boards clean, and we're going to have a recap of short division 2. Now remember, short division, we also call it the bus stop method. So I've got my bus stops ready for us to complete this method. So you might want to draw them on your whiteboard too. Now I've got 68 divided by 4, okay? Now 4 is my divisor, so we're going to put it on the outside of the bus stop, and we are dividing number 68, so that's going to sit inside the bus stop. Now remember, we're going to break the number down, so we know it's got 6 tens and 8 ones, but I'm going to cover over this digit, and I'm going to see how many 4s fit into the number 6. So let's count in our 4s. 4, 8. I've got a couple too many there. So I could only fit 1 4 in the number 6. But how many have we got left over? Because we need to carry them to the next digit. So from 4 to 6, 4, 5, 6. There's 2 left over. So I'm going to pop that in front of the next digit. What number is that now? If you said 28, well done. So we're going to see how many 4s we can fit into the number 28. Let's count in our 4s. Are you ready? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. That's 7 lots of 4. So I'm going to record that on the top of my bus stop. Did you get the answer of 17 as well? If you're doing it at the same time as me, that's fine too, okay? Now, just like for our short multiplication, on your page today, there'll also be a division where we've got a 3-digit being divided by a 1-digit number. But don't panic again, we're just going to keep following the written method along, and I'm going to show you how nothing really changes either. So let's have a look. We know this is our divisor. We're dividing by 3, so we put it on the outside of the bus stop. So you might want to write that on your board too. I've got 117. I'm going to put it inside the bus stop, okay? Now, this number has got 100, a 10 and a 7 in it to make up 117. I'm going to cover over the last 2 digits and see how many 3s fit into the number 1. Got the number 1. I can't fit a 3 in the number 1, so I'm going to record at the top that that's 0. I can't fit a number 3 into the number 1. But I've still got that 1 left over. So what do we do with the numbers that we have left over? we carry them. So I'm going to carry them to the next digit. What has that number there become now? It's number 11. So now we're going to see how many 3s fit into 11. Are you ready? Let's count in our 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12. That's one too many. So I could only fit 3, 6, 9, 3 3s. So I'm going to record that on the top in the number 11. But that only got me to number 9. So we need to count on from 9 to see how many we've got left over that we need to carry to the last digit here. So 9, 10, 11. I've got 2 left over. So that becomes 27. Can you see that number there, 27? So how many 3s fit into the number 27? I know lots of you will be telling me that 9 times 3 is 27. And if you don't know that, just count in your 3s. So 9 times 3 is 27. So that's 9 3s. And we've got our answer there. I've got 0, 39. Now that 0, it's not holding the place. There's no hundreds. So our answer is just 39. Okay? So keep following the written method and carrying any numbers you have left over. So before you start your main page today and I go through some of your problem questions, I've got an all-star challenge for you. Now this will help you today to get warmed up ready to use those written methods of short multiplication and short division. So you want to pause the board now and have a go at these 6 questions in your purple book because they'll get you warmed up ready to use these short multiplication and short division in your learning today. So pause the board now and have a go at these in your purple book. Right, so hopefully you just completed my all-star challenge because that will really help you with the written methods that you'll need to use in your work today. So the second part then of our learning question and the main part is solving multiplication and division word problems. And that's where you might need to be using your written methods, but also using those times table facts. Now, we discussed earlier, when we're looking at word problems, we use rucksack, where we read that question carefully, take our time to understand it, which can help us choose the operation and solve it and check it at the end. Now we're going to be looking at problems of multiplication or division today, and you're going to need to decide whether you're going to multiply the numbers that you've been given or divide them. So you'll be looking out for key words. So I've got some multiplication and division vocabulary here. We know vocabulary means words. So you might spot some of these words in your questions for multiplication. Multiply, times. We use times a lot when we're multiplying. We know with multiplication we're looking at lots of or groups of, okay? Now the opposite to multiplication is division, and you'll have some division questions today, so make sure you're looking carefully for any of these words that mean you need to divide the numbers you've been given. So we've got divide. Now when we divide, we're sharing equally into groups, okay, or splitting. Think about sharing equally or splitting into equal groups, okay? So let's have a look at some of the word problems that you've got in your book today. I've got some very similar ones here. So I've got Tom. He has 43 pieces of Lego, and I'm going to underline 43 because I'm going to be using that later. So make sure you underline in with your pencil today. He's got 43 pieces of Lego. Jan has 4 times as many pieces of Lego as Tom. How many pieces of Lego does Jan have? So we know Tom's got 43 pieces, but Jan has 4 times as many. Now the word times, I've underlined that. Do you think we need to divide or multiply the numbers we've been given? Times. What operation is that? If you said multiplication, well done. Okay, so we're going to multiply the numbers we have been given. So for this, I've got 43 multiplied by 4. So I'm going to need to use short multiplication. So you could do it at the side of your book if you need to. 43 multiplied by 4, okay? Now I'm not going to carry on and work that out because we've just looked at how to use short multiplication. So there you'd multiply the 1s and then multiply the 10s, and that will give you the answer that you need. Now remember, these are similar questions to yours. They're not the same. They've got different numbers and slightly different scenarios going on. Now another similar question that you've got today. I've got a cake has a mass, that means how much it weighs, of 344 grams. Okay, so there's a number. I'm going to underline it because I know that's important. It is cut into 8 equal slices. What is the mass of just one slice? So we've got to visualise, that means we're going to imagine that cake, it weighs 344 grams, but it's been cut into 8 equal slices. So equal, if it's been cut and split into those 8 equal slices, what do you think we're going to be doing? Are we going to be dividing those numbers to find out how much just one of those slices weighs, or are we going to be multiplying? If you said divide, well done, because we're sharing into equal groups. They've cut this cake into 8 equal slices. So to find the mass of one slice, we need to do 344 grams. And we need to get our bus stop out because I can't work that one out in my head. That's too big of a division to do. And I'm dividing it by my 8. Okay, so I'm going to cut it into 8 equal slices. And you can use that written method. We start from the beginning. How many 8s can you fit in your first digit? And then carry on and make sure you're carrying any numbers you have left over. Okay, let's have a look at some more word problems that are similar to yours then. So I've got here 64 children are split into 8 teams. So starting with 64 children, I'm underlining to understand this question. Oh, they're split. I think that's going to be a key word, into 8 teams. Each team has the same number of children. How many children are there in each team? So imagine those 64 children. Okay, we've split them into 8 teams and it tells us that each team has the same number. So each team is equal. So if we're splitting those children into 8 equal groups, are we going to be multiplying or dividing? If you said dividing, well done. So I've got 64 divided by 8. Now for that question, I know my 8 times table. And I know that 8 times 8 is 64, so I can use that. I don't need to do a short division, a bus stop method. So I'm going to write down the question. It's asking me to do 64 divided by 8. So how many 8s are in 64? You could count in your 8s, but I know that 8 times 8 is 64. So I can use my times table knowledge to help me there. One last similar question then that you've got in your book today. I've got sweets are sold in 233 gram bags. I'm going to underline that number. How many grams of sweets are there in 3 bags? Now it's wrote the number 3 in words, but that's fine. We can either make a note or we know that's the number 3. So sweets are sold in 233 gram bags. So each bag weighs 233 grams. How many grams are there in 3 bags? Well, with this one, we can do a repeated addition if we wanted to. So if I drew this for a bag of sweets, I'm sure you can draw a better bag of sweets than mine. This bag, we know, weighs 233 grams. Now it wants 3 bags of sweets, so I'm going to draw another one, and we know that's got to be worth 233 grams. And then the last one is going to be worth the same. So some of you might want to do a repeated addition for this type of question and add up your 3 bags of sweets. But also, that's 3 lots of 233 grams. So remember, some of you might want to put that in a short multiplication. 233 multiplied by 3. Okay, so 233 grams multiplied by 3. So it's up to you which way you would like to do that. Now the last thing, before I let you go and you complete your pages for today, these are your pages for today, page 26 and 27. Now question 2 on page 26 I think might be a little bit tricky. So we'll read it together and then I'm going to set you off to have a go on your own. So a newspaper costs 80p. Okay, I'm going to underline that. You could get your pencil out now and go grab your book and do the same. Okay? Aya buys a newspaper every day. How much will Aya spend on newspapers for 4 days and also for 7 days? Well, if we think that she buys a newspaper every day, then for those 4 days, she's spending 80p every day. So you might want to add up those 80p, 4 lots of 80, but we also know, because there's 4 lots of 80, it's like saying 80p times 4, okay? And then when you've worked that one out, remember, you've got a next one of 7 days. Now this is working in money. So when you've got your answer, think about the pounds and the pence. So you might work your answer out in pence first, and then you can convert it into pounds and pence, okay? So I can't wait to see your work for today. Take your time in reading your questions, Year 3, and I'll see you soon.